Here's what's happening right now. The FBI is holding a news conference about yesterday's New York City attack. In the last few minutes, the Bureau announced it's looking for a second person connected to the attack. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lorenc.
And I'm Tyler Emery. Thanks for joining us. The second man is Muhammad Zwayer Kadyrov, also from Uzbekistan. One day after the terror attack, President Trump says the way terrorists are prosecuted in this country is a joke. President Trump shared his condolences with the families of attack victims today during a cabinet meeting. He also called the suspect in yesterday's terror attack an animal. He used the moment to call for an immigration system based on merit and an end to the lottery program the attacker used to get into the country. The president says he'd consider sending the suspected terrorist to Guantanamo Bay.
We need quick justice and we need strong justice, much quicker and much stronger than we have right now. Because what we have right now is a joke and it's a laughing stock. And no wonder so much of this stuff takes place.
As for the man yesterday, Sayfullah Saipov is in the hospital at this hour. Police shot him at the scene. Investigators are trying to figure out whether he acted alone or had help. They found a note in the rented truck he used that translates to "ISIS lives forever." Saipov drove the pickup truck into a bike lane before crashing into a school bus. The attack killed 8 and injured 11 others.
People in Argentina are mourning the 5 Argentinian victims who died in the attack. The group was in New York City celebrating the 30th anniversary of their high school graduation. In Argentina, mourners held a minute of silence at the high school they attended, and the Argentinian flag was flown at half-staff.
Saipov spent time here in Missouri. He got a traffic violation in Platte County in December of 2015. At the time, he was driving a semi-truck. At one point, he listed truck driver as his occupation. He got a ticket for having unsafe brakes. Court records say Saipov didn't show up in court, so police arrested him.
In that same meeting where he mentioned the attack, President Trump told reporters he's eagerly anticipating what he refers to as beautiful new tax cuts. House Republicans are expected to lay out the details of tax reform tomorrow. Trump claims reform will benefit the middle class and lower business taxes. Opponents say it's just more tax cuts for the super rich.
After much conversation about health care today, enrollment for the Affordable Care Act started.
KMU8's Gabrielle Hayes is in the studio with details on any changes and where you can find help if you need it.
Today, people seeking health care are logging on to healthcare.gov, scrolling through premiums, and hopefully walking away with coverage. To help that cause, the Primaris Foundation and other local groups are answering calls about the enrollment process and new changes. This year, the enrollment period will be shorter, lasting until December 15th. There may also be changes in prices depending on factors such as age and income.
It's an important thing for the consumers involved, and that's what our mission as a foundation is, to connect people to healthcare resources essentially and help them maximize what's kind of a confusing realm for some people, or for most people actually.
For more information on changes and how the foundation is helping people enroll, you can visit our website at KMU8.com. In the studio, Gabrielle Hayes, KMU8 News.
Jefferson City is considering wheeling in a new fleet of electric buses as several of its current models reach their last leg. KMU8's Daniel Litwin is in the studio with what's keeping them in park.
Columbia made the push to bring zero-emission buses to its city back in 2015. Jefferson City is now weighing the options too, after a few demonstrations showed electric buses have a lot to offer. Over the past few weeks, Jefferson City's transit division has put electric buses, including one from Columbia, on display.
The folks in Jefferson City had asked us if they could borrow one of our buses for the day to use as a demo, and we were gladly accepted the opportunity to do that.
The demonstrations piqued interest in the transit division. Now the gears continue to grind on whether Jefferson City will bring electric buses to the Capitol.
Electric buses are very different than a usual diesel pusher type of bus.
There are still a few roadblocks before any new buses will roll into town. When implementing electric buses in Columbia, terrain wasn't really a factor. Roads in Columbia are pretty flat, but Jefferson City is a whole nother story.
A vehicle or a bus may have a range of, say, 200 miles, but if you're going up a lot of hills, that takes a lot of additional battery power.
If the buses can handle the hills, the city still needs to figure out the funding.
While we have some matching funds here locally for the city of Jefferson, at the same time, we require from our federal partners we would need substantial amount of dollars and a grant program. And those come around usually every year.
After having electric buses for 2 years, Columbia has a few tips on how to get the best use out of the green vehicles.
The driver is probably the single biggest factor in kind of the range that you get out of a day with those buses. Maymert plans on testing an electric bus on Jefferson City's routes in the next 6 months. In the studio, Daniel Litwin, KOMU 8 News.
2 major car crashes in Columbia today sent 4 people to the hospital, including 2 with life-threatening injuries. The first happened about 11 o'clock this morning on I-70 just west of the Stadium Boulevard exit, followed by a crash at the south edge of campus. The I-70 crash happened when one car lost control while trying to switch lanes and drove off the side of the road. Both the driver and the passenger were ejected. Police say it's unlikely either were wearing seat belts. They are being investigated for possible drug or alcohol use. The second crash occurred when an SUV rear-ended a car stopped at the light at Providence and McDeaver. The car was pushed through the intersection where it hit another car. Police say 2 people were taken to the hospitals, a man with a head injury and a woman who was unresponsive.
Here's what's happening right now. Lawyers in the Craig Wood trial are prepping for day 4. The court ended testimony for the day a little over an hour ago. Wood is accused of murdering Springfield 10-year-old Haley Owens 4 years ago. This is video of yesterday's proceeding. Today, the trial focused on graphic testimony that led to a warning from the judge for visitors in the court. The trial started Monday and is expected to last 2 weeks. Wood could face the death penalty.
Today, Governor Greitens endorsed a recommendation to cut 450 government positions. The recommendation came from a task force he created to evaluate the state's boards and commissions. Greitens says the recommendations are a step at shrinking the size of government and making business easier.
It sure did feel like November weather out there today. Let's check in with Tim to find out if today's cold and rain will stick around. Tim.
Yeah, it did. It's chilly all day today. Temperatures actually have been in the 40s for the most part all afternoon. Even with a warm front that's been trying to move through the state, it just really hasn't warmed up too much, but temperatures are much warmer than they were at any point yesterday afternoon. Live Doppler rate first alert radar has had a track on some of the drizzle. It's very light precipitation at best, but it has been there, and it's just enough to create kind of a misty kind of afternoon for us with all the clouds. Temperatures at 48 currently in Columbia, 50 in Jefferson City, 53 in Fulton. It's still in the upper 40s though, up into Mexico and Paris and Moberly. A little warmer to our south, Versailles. You're at 57 degrees, so it's starting to warm up quite fast down to the south, and that's all with a southerly breeze that'll stick with us here through the evening. Couple clouds this evening, couple of isolated pockets of rain still with us too, and I think that's really going to be the trend here for the later part of this evening with the cloudy sky, overcast, hanging drizzly skies. Temperatures actually start to rise a few degrees throughout the next few hours, up to about 52 by the time you're heading to bed. We'll have a look at that forecast for Thursday and Friday and your weekend. It's coming up.
Tim, thanks so much. And with these dropping temperatures, we can tell winter is coming, which means the Missouri cold weather rule takes effect today. That means utilities can't be shut off when temperatures drop below 32 degrees. The CMCA's Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program also starts taking applications today, which will help families pay their bills when utilities are shut off or going to be shut off. Columbia's Community Relations Specialist Stephen Sapp says the utility companies take into account the health of the families when making the decision.
It's one of the toughest, decisions for a utility to make as to when we disconnect someone, and there are certainly rules that we have to prevent cold weather and hot weather disconnects from taking place.
Columbia resident Marcia Hathaway said the city has always helped her family out when they've been running late on their utility bill. Sapp said residents who fear they can't make their payments should reach out to the city for assistance.
Coming up after weather, what Jefferson City's new high school might look like.